Hey, it's August 2nd. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey, and we are presented to you each and every weekday by Mungenast, St. Louis Acura, and Royal Banks of Missouri. Rammer, I might be on the IL after my weekend, but it was a good weekend here for the Cardinals, taking 2 out of 3 from Minnesota. Off day today, and we have a lot to kind of talk about after our very busy show this past Friday.
Yeah, everybody's kind of catching their breath all around baseball. I heard an interview, I believe it was on MLB, with some GMs, and they're talking about telling their staff, catch your breath, get some sleep over the weekend before we get back to it. People need to kind of let the dust settle and see where they are, although the Padres remain snake bitten, it appears, every time they try to make a move. Either the Dodgers steal their move or Tatis hurts his shoulder again. So, but they're fortunate though, because I think they're going to try Cronenworth at short for a while, and they'll try and muddle through.
Yeah, and you know what? They still had a deep bench, and we talked. That's one of the things we talked about on Friday was some of these teams that were making moves were doing so to have a deeper bench come September, October baseball, and have guys on your bench that should be starting for 25 other teams in baseball. But for those teams, they weren't going to cut the right. Top 8, top 9, whatever. So losing a guy like Tatis, where you're never going to replace him, but at least you're hopefully replacing him with a
player.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the moves that were made. As we sat here last Friday, we talked about the moves the Cardinals were making. They had just acquired J.A. Happ when we were live. That's when we found out about the John Lester trade, and we were both kind of sitting here wondering why that was the case, wondering what the thought process was. And then you see Jake Woodford go out on Saturday and really, really struggle after the Cardinals tried to stretch him out and be a starting pitcher. And I'm going to talk to Claibs here in about 20, 25 minutes. We're doing our lunch show, but I kind of get the feeling that those moves were made so guys like Johan Oviedo and Jake Woodford would not have to pitch to big league hitters the rest of this year that much.
Well, the Cardinals aren't giving up on the season, but they understand that the odds are long. We all wish they would have been more aggressive. I think if you put Scherzer and Trey Turner on this team, you had a shot to catch the Brewers. I really believe that. The Cardinals are saying to make that kind of a commitment, to lose the prospects we'd have to lose. We still didn't like our odds to win and win it all. And then that becomes a difference of opinion. So what they're saying is we're going to stack up as many rag-armed lefties as we can, eat some innings until Flaherty and Michaelis come back, and then see who ends up the remaining guy who performs the best during this weird dog days, wait to get healthy interim period. Then that guy remains the 5th starter, probably Lester, but Lester, Happ, whomever, LeBlanc, whoever gets through August and is performing the best should probably stay in there and just see how the season ends up. But my gut tells me that this is just going to be one of those years we feel like is wasted.
Yeah, and you know what? They're still going to try and compete. You still hope that there's some spark that can be lit at some point. And when you look at the schedule for the month of August, it's there in front of you. But you didn't give up any top tier prospects.
Yeah,
you got rid of a few guys that really didn't have a role on this team. Lane Thomas and John Gant, their roles kind of disappeared at this season and even last season. And going into the off season, you have a lot of money coming off the books that you can use that to improve the team. So this isn't a fire sale. I've seen so many comments this weekend about the Cardinals needing to just do a complete tear down and rebuild of like the Cubs did. How? What do you like? What do
Well,
you
you
suggest to do? You can't. You don't have those pieces. That's not how this team's made.
No, because the guys you'd want to move aren't the stars that Baez, Rizzo, and Bryant are. Kimbrel. You don't have those guys.
No.
And well, you've got Reyes and whomever, but you don't. Those are young guys under control. You don't want to move them. So I think you're right. And then the challenge will be for the Cardinals not to just try and let's compete, but what do we do to win? And not win games. I don't mean be 82-80. I mean winning 92, 95. Can we win 100 games? Are we a team that's got a roster that's set to win a World Series? That's what we hope to go for. And you would think that by this winter going into the spring, at least one young player will be added to a significant part of the roster, probably several, and probably 3 or 4 healthy arms. And that'll sort of give you a baseline from which to see, okay, here's who we're competing against. Let's see who stays with the Dodgers and the Padres and the Mets and the Giants. See who they're not going to keep, and reshuffle the deck in the National League.
Yeah. So this past weekend, the Twins were in town. It's always fun to have those American League teams come in, and I'm of the belief that every single team in the AL should come through St. Louis for at least a 2-game series at some point in the season, and just have a balanced schedule all throughout. But still, it's nice to see it when you get weekends like that. And also this past weekend too, the statue unveiling of Ted Simmons as number 23 was retired and put up there on the wall. They're going to put his add his picture to the mural next season. So right now, just 23 is on the wall in the outfield, but they will add his picture to that as well. Rammer, do you have a favorite Ted Simmons memory? I know I put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this in the pre-show.
When he punched out Bill Madlock at the plate. Hungo started a fight, and Hungo will tell the story. You ought to get him on just to talk about it. But 2 batters, one on each side of the batter's box. The umpire saying pitch. The hitters aren't ready, and everybody's mad at everybody. Hungo throws. Everything goes ballistic. Simmons pops Madlock, and it is on. But Simmons, absolutely relative to ball players, and all of us, really, an intellectual guy, really smart. And as we saw, being a baseball lifer, but such a beautiful hitter, just a great switch hitter. And then in all those great accolades, also don't ever forget just an unbelievable competitor, not a mouthy guy, not a rah-rah showy guy. And this isn't a shot at Joey Votto, but Joey's kind of showy. Would you admit?
Yeah, I think he's earned, and I think he's earned it too. I have no problem with Joey Votto being the way Joey Votto is. Yeah,
I knew I'd be misinterpreted. That wasn't a criticism.
Okay,
it was just making a difference in styles. A showy guy where Simmons went about his business, but sometimes when you're quiet, people don't know, about the fire in you. As competitive as anybody that ever played.
Gotcha.
I mean, he was there to compete and win. And that was my point. Just 2 different styles of players.
And a great head of hair as well. So that.
Yeah.
Rammer, tomorrow on the show, a full preview of the Braves, which is, it's a very different looking team than they wanted to be as August rolled around on the calendar. A very, I think much like the Twins, a very disappointing 2021 season from what they expected to be.
Well, get this. They lose 2 key pieces out of their lineup. Their overall best hitter, their cleanup hitter. And, oh boy, what are they going to do? You add Jock Peterson, you go, if you're a Braves fan, And so they didn't go out and get big stars to add, but they added 3 or 4 good players, just decent players. And they're still going to try and go for it. They think, and I think they could be right, that the Mets could be flawed enough that with Freddie Freeman leading the way and competent professionals up and down the lineup, that they could catch them. And I think it's a reasonable gamble for the Braves. And a week ago, you might have looked at it and say, okay, here's a team we got to beat. They're down. Braves are still trying to win in a completely, let me stop myself. New paragraph. It seems like these days it's either we're all in or we're all out. Cardinals are one of those that, we're just going to kind of hang in there. But the Braves we're going to make our best effort to compete within reason. And the Braves are going to be really interesting to watch this week.
Rammer, before we talk about our friends at Royal Banks, is that a Little League hat that you have on today?
No, it just looks like it. This one's over 50 years old. This was one of my Lindenwood Lions hats.
I
don't know if it was senior year. It might have been either junior or senior year at Lindenwood. We didn't have a lot of money in the program. This was even we had snapback. It was pretty weak. But I went vintage for you. The Lindenwood Lions circa 1978.
I'm going. I'll say, you know what? This is this. I start coaching this week, middle school baseball. The school my son goes to, but he's only in third grade, so this will be older kids at the school. But this is the Zion school that nice. He attends, and I start coaching their team this week. Practices underway. So wearing this in our first game in 2 weeks from now. So look forward to doing that, getting back into that. Yeah,
good for you. There's nothing like coaching and teaching. It's really the best, the most rewarding. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah, you know what? When he did machine pitch this summer as an 8-year-old, I dropped him off and I let him be somebody else's problem. 7th and 8th graders, I can handle that. I can work with.
Yeah, it's really fun. In fact, you've got a bad arm from your alumni game.
I've
got a bad elbow from hitting a couple of thousand fungos. We had club tryouts here at Ballparks National, the Lake of the Ozarks, and I was the fungo guy, and I got a bad elbow from over fungoing.
Yeah, I might just be doing a lot of catcher drills the first few days because I can't fungo. I can't hit the fungo right now, and there's no way I'm throwing BP to these kids for the first few days of practice. So that's going to have to be on somebody else. Rammer, a quick word from our friends at Royal Banks.
Royal Banks of Missouri, and of course, don't forget they've moved across the river as well for 2 branches that are a little over a year old with Royal Banks. But community banks, they've been at Granite City and Jerseyville for a long, long time. Now they're part of the Royal Banks group, and that is one that even as Royal Banks grows, they never lose that hometown bank feel. And they want to help you achieve your financial goals, and it's easy to figure out how. Give them a call and talk to a friendly Royal Banks banker at 314-212-1500 or go online to royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been another edition of Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com, presented by Mungenast St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri. And if you are watching this live right now on Claibs Online, we're going to hit end, and in about 10 minutes from now, I'll be back on here with Mike Claiborne for the lunch show, talking about the Cardinals, the Blues, Olympics, and whatever else we decide to get into. Coming up next right here on Claibs Online. Until tomorrow, for Bob Ramsey, I'm Joe Roderick. We'll